People are looking for meaning. And Tony Robbins talks about this actually, and so do many other people around the world, is that having the material aspects fulfilled is great and important, but what's beyond that materialistic? What's beyond the materialistic? There's a natural embodiment within that says, I feel that there's something greater within. And I haven't been taught at school, I haven't learned it in business, and it's like, well, what's that call to adventure that's coming within? And that's the first step for discovering your purpose, to hear the call to adventure within. And when you hear the call to adventure within, life gets really interesting, right? So how can a working class guy that comes from a working class family be prominent and global in the world? It's grace, because I've served. And so my point is this: as you hear the call to adventure, you start to uncover who you truly are. And who you truly are is beautiful, magnificent. And as you start to do that, your energy changes, your mind changes, the way you view reality changes. You start to see synchronicities as you explore into the question, who am I? And I promise every single person that's listening to this, if you ask the universe, or the divine heart, or the source, whatever you want to say, show me who I am, you've won the lottery, because the divine will show you who you are. And it's not the judgmental God. It is not the you've done bad, you need to do all this stuff. It's not the God of salvation. It is the God of love. It's the power of love. It's the consciousness of love. It is that says, I sing over you at night. It's that vibration that says, I delight over you. It's that energy that says, hey, listen, let's walk together because I'm always with you. And once you uncover that loving presence, whoa, man.
Hi, my name is Sanka Caro. I'm founder of LightNet, and my passion and purpose is to make the impossible possible. Yes, I'm here today with the topic du jour, AI. This is Matthew James Bailey. He is a globally recognized expert in ethical AI, and he works with governments and corporations and organizations around the world to look into the future to see how we can do this right, even at breakneck speeds. He has founded a think tank called World 3.0 with doctors JJ and Desiree Hurtak, Sir Robert Edward Grant, and John P. Milton. Now, this think tank is really opening up everything from decentralization to world unity to looking at why has AI got this narcissistic bent and how we have AI has gone inward. Also to how, like I said, how do we navigate this new technology while retaining our soul? Check it out.
What did I discover my purpose to be? Well, my awakening happened when I was at the age of 19. And I used to go to a church group, loads of teenagers, probably about 80 to 100. And we used to go camping every few weeks to the Gower Peninsula in Wales, a beautiful part of the world. And we used to do Bible study and lots of activities like kayaking and all cricket and things like that. And one evening, on a summer's evening, I went from the camp and walked down to the seashore of the Gower Peninsula, and the sky was filled with stars. It was at night, and the sky was absolutely rich with stars. And I wept to God to show him who he is. I broke down and just wept to God and said, show me who you are. And then 2 nights later, during a celebration evening, Jesus came to me physically and metaphysically. And I was taken to a plane of consciousness, what you might term the kingdom of heaven. And it was the most loving, intimate, accepting, beautiful presence that anyone could experience. I was all one with love, fully loved, fully accepted. And everything I do today in my leadership in the digital revolutions that I've been leading is to give people a chance to experience that same field of infinite love and oneness with the divine. That's my whole life. That's my blueprint, is to enable people to have an opportunity to experience the infinite love of the divine that's within them and is always walking with them. Yes, so how do I bring people into this opportunity to experience their infinite loving presence of the divine, if you will? Well, first of all, everybody has a unique blueprint. And that blueprint, when uncovered, starts to reveal that we are greater than what we've been told. That we are absolutely extraordinary universal humans in a universal expression of divine love. And so the question for every single person is, what's my role in that, right? What's my role, right? Am I going to be a leader in technology? Am I going to be a filmmaker? You know, what is my heart saying? What is the blueprint being revealed? And the good news is everybody has a role to play in universal consciousness. Everybody has a blueprint, and that blueprint, as we start to uncover the loving presence of the divine within and always around us, in fact, then we start to actually relax in creation and start to allow information to flow and say, hey, listen, why don't you turn right at this point in your life rather than turning left? And as we start to listen to the calling within, then we start to see the world open up. We start to see new horizons appear. We start to see that we have an opportunity to serve other as well as serving self. And that's the whole point of our blueprint, is to come alive in the expression of the divine within and to serve and be part of creation. So this is very much like Joseph Campbell, the hero's journey or the heroine's journey, right? It's a journey of awakening into the greater of who we are. So let's put some facts on the table. One, I've led a number of global revolutions called the Internet of Things and smart cities, and I'm respected as the number one in ethical artificial intelligence in the world. And through that, I've been classified as one of the top 1% minds in the world, right? So one of the visions that I have for the world is, how do we take this digital technology and enliven it to serve the well-being of humanity, to uplift those that are struggling, and to create a society where our soul of every single individual can be expressed. So it's not many people that get called into the arena of global leadership, and it's been an interesting space, that's for sure. We've had some battles, and we've won most of them, actually, particularly against, let's just say, organizations that don't love humanity, that want to control humanity. So practically, it's about advocacy, it's about building businesses, it's about creating solutions. And that's what we need today, solutions, not talk. We need solutions, and I'm all about solutions. Solutions that the communities, the grassroots can have in order to build their thriving community, in order for them to start to connect as a community and to realize that people have different gifts and we can serve each other through those gifts. And so for me, the future is all about community empowerment. And so when we look at artificial intelligence, I know many people are frightened about this. There's no need to be frightened about it. We're going to put the hands of AI in the hands of the people, that's for sure. We've got projects going on about this. But AI can be a very powerful assistant in terms of assisting us to have more time in our lives. The whole point of AI is to give us back the gift of time. The current systems at the moment are very much pulling our energy everywhere. Well, what happens if we have systems that allowed us to have more energy within? What happens if we have systems that enable us to be more at rest? Well, then we're heading into what Aristotle spoke about in 350 BCE, which is the age of gnosis. The divine intellect comes alive. And we start to enter into higher virtue ethics, and we start to evolve in our consciousness as human beings. Because the practical stuff such as food, water, well-being, health, All these different things are taken care of, and we then enter into a place of exploring higher planes of consciousness. And that's where the evolution is for humanity, is effectively to evolve into and access new planes of consciousness as metaphysical beings in the biological experience. So AI can be a very positive force. There's certainly, there's things that we've been doing to ensure that AI remains free of New World Order ideology, and we've won that. And now we have an opportunity to start to encode loving kindness within artificial intelligence, to start to build systems of loving kindness, where we just realize that, hey, listen, you came from the same source as I did. We all came from the same source. And so that recognition of that commonality is what's going to wake humanity up and break us into new systems of really thriving. Well, the whole universe is going through the hero's journey. In fact, everything in the universe is going through the hero's or heroine's journey. That's a fact. It's part of the law of expansion and growth. And so on my own hero's journey, I'm a guy, so I'm on a hero's journey. You're a lady, you're on the heroine's journey. They're subtly different, right? And it's important to recognize that the masculine and feminine, while their energies are differently embodied within people. And so I think it's important to recognize that while men have been at the forefront in most of the systems, and it was technology that brought really women to be able to be in jobs and things like that, we really want more women, personally, to really come alive and to excel in their gifts and talents, and to become not to become part of, but actually contribute to our North Star, to say, hey guys, how about this direction for our North Star? And so I'm very, very passionate about female leadership that's enlightened, empowered, and it's important for us to support that, to be honest, that evolution. On the hero's journey, it's been hell at times. There's no avoiding this. 3 months after I had this experience with the mystical Christ, and I had all this these metaphysical gifts, like being able to speak a soul language, the ability to see the future, the ability to do all sorts of different things. But really the true gift is actually sitting down with people and being with people where they're at, and inviting them to be one with their divine spark and be set free. That's my real gift, is setting people free. Not through force, but through loving kindness. Not trying to force anything, but just sit with them and say, hey, listen, how you doing? What's going on? And just to sit with people, whether it means crying, whether it means weeping, whether it means laughing, whether it means getting frustrated, or whether it means basically saying, hey, listen, are you ready for a new step? Do you want to try something different? Let's walk in this together. It's important to lift people up. It's so important, because we want everybody to have a chance to love the divine spark. But 3 months after I met the mystical Christ, I went off to my first university, and I was then tortured by the church for 3 years. So I've experienced hell. I mean, this is torture. And so I've experienced heaven, I've experienced hell. And on my hero's journey, what I've recognized is that the gift of being able to relate to people who are in their own hell. And not to judge, but to sit down and say, I actually understand where you're at right now. And bring gentleness to people, and bring hope and inspiration to people. Look, there's no doubt about it that the universe is intelligently designed. There's no doubt about it there is a divine. There's no doubt about it that we're metaphysical. There's no doubt about it that we have the divine spark within. There is no doubt about it. So the next frontier for humanity is actually metaphysical science. And metaphysical science is where we're able to access the universal library, if you will, and to be able to listen for information to ground in this 4D reality and to build solutions and technologies. And I've proven that. So I brought something down, one of my early ethical AI inventions that NASA experimented with, the #1 research organization on Earth and space, right? And so my point is this: we're going to access esoterical and metaphysical knowledge that will enable humanity not just to make a step forward, but to get into a Lamborghini and just go into the future, baby. Because it'll be fun, right? Now, here's the rub. For all those that think they can control consciousness, stop it. For all those that want to basically save the world, stop it. Let's listen to what the divine gives us, because the divine has a plan. The source is a master chess player. Listen to the instruction that comes in line with your blueprint, and take that next step in courage and confidence. And as we do that, our ego dissipates, control dissipates, and we come into the flow of creation in service to say, you know, I'm glad we brought that technology through, because all these people are being fed now. Right? So please, no control over consciousness. Just be in the flow of your consciousness, please. People are looking for meaning. And Tony Robbins talks about this, actually, and so do many other people around the world, is that having the material aspects fulfilled is great and important, but what's beyond that materialistic? What's beyond the materialistic? There's a natural embodiment within that says, you know, I feel that there's something greater within. And I haven't been taught at school, I haven't learned it in business, and it's like, well, what's that call to adventure that's coming within? And that's the first step for discovering your purpose, to hear the call to adventure within. And when you hear the call to adventure within, life gets really interesting, right? So how can a working class guy that comes from a working class family be prominent and global in the world? It's grace, because I've served. And so my point is this: as you hear the call to adventure, you start to uncover who you truly are. And who you truly are is beautiful, magnificent. And as you start to do that, your energy changes, your mind changes, the way you view reality changes. You start to see synchronicities as you explore into the question, who am I? And I promise every single person that's listening to this, if you ask the universe, or the divine heart, or the source, whatever you want to say, show me who I am, you've won the lottery, because the divine will show you who you are. And it's not the judgmental God. It is not the, you've done bad, you need to do all this stuff. It's not the God of salvation. It is the God of love. It's the power of love. It's the consciousness of love. It is that says, I sing over you at night. It's that vibration that says, I delight over you. It's that energy that says, hey, listen, let's walk together, because I'm always with you. And once you uncover that loving presence, whoa, man, you can do anything in the world. So let's talk about the struggles with purpose. The first thing is, and I hope you don't mind me saying this, purpose can become a prison, and people need to be careful. Purpose is there to be all of you in creation. It's creation flowing through you. Okay. So our filter goes from, you know, this is my and creation's kind of coming through here. This is my purpose, and we've got this whole barrier in front of purpose being expressed. But if we couldn't go sideways, remove all control, and allow the purpose of your divine blueprint, which everybody has, to come through, then life gets easier. There's less discombobulation of the flow of creation. So purpose is important to uncover meaning, and we want everybody to uncover meaning. But let me be clear about this. A smile to another person can be expressing your purpose. A loving word to another person can be expressing your purpose. My point is this: it doesn't have to be something glorious and big. I find that it's the minutiae of life that can be overlooked, where the real treasure is. It's in the human connection and the community where the real treasure is. It's not a big song and dance. So my point is this, is that when you uncover your purpose, it's a liberating revelation, And at the same time, it's important as part of your growth paradigm to let go of all control of that purpose, but to have ownership over its shepherdship in creation, using wisdom. So there's certain knowledge that I have for humanity and artificial intelligence I have not revealed to the world yet, because the world's not ready. And also there are nefarious organizations that would abuse some of the stuff that I would say. So as you start to uncover your purpose, you have to use wisdom and to know when to reveal and when not to reveal, when to take a step forward and when to be stationary, and just be okay with that. But purpose is brilliant because it brings life into its fullness. Well, my advice to those that are looking to discover their purpose, my first thing to say to them is nothing's wrong. Where you're at right now is perfect. There's nothing that you can do to change the intensity of the love of the divine. And once humanity realizes, no matter what moment you're in, the tender caress of the divine is constant. So the first thing is, you're not trying to earn anything. The first thing is, become restful in who you are and let it come. If you want to start discovering your purpose, my advice is this: go walk in nature and to ask the universe to show you. Get out the mind and start to be one in creation. The other thing is, I would advise people to read or to watch Joseph Campbell, The Hero's Journey. And there's a great free YouTube video called Finding Joe, the movie by Pat Solomon. And it's a brilliant movie, and you can listen to how people woke up on their own hero's journey, and it will guide you and inspire you to take that courageous step and say yes to me. Because the whole point of the hero's journey is to say yes to more of you. This isn't egocentric. This is actually moving into a higher softness of who you are. It's moving into a higher expression of who you are in the yes to life, in the yes to self, which means yes to other. And so I'm excited for those that are discovering their purpose. The other thing is, which we lack in this world, is nourishment around those that are waking up in purpose. It's very important to have experienced mentors that can be guides and shepherds for those that are waking up, because it's a kind of birthing ceremony in a way. And so that nourishing of people that are waking up into their purpose is very, very important. And I know with Purpose Labs, you're addressing that critical issue, because people, sometimes go bonkers, and it's because it's so intense. And what they need is grounding, embodiment, and true wisdom to say, just relax. Don't force a damn thing. Creation wasn't forced. Your soul wasn't forced. Just be in the power of the present moment and let information come. And what the next step is. And it might be making a cup of tea. It might be going to buy a Lamborghini, whatever it may be, or calling a friend. It doesn't really matter. The point is this: you're loved, and it's okay to be courageous and to take that step into the call to adventure. The majority of the world are not aware of the work and leadership that I do, and that's okay, because I'm here to serve their divine heart and for their soul to be free. There are other aspects of government and big business and even some of these nefarious institutions that know exactly who I am. And the majority listen, actually, and take action. And I can't reveal too much right now, but let's just say that the advocacy that I've been doing with some others has ensured that artificial intelligence is not controlled by the New World Order. Let's just say that, and that's been globally impacting. One of the things that I've ventured into is to become a spiritual teacher. Right? It's like, what? Matthew being a spiritual teacher? That's insane. But what I've been doing is I've spent 40 years in mysticism with the divine heart, and taken and tested a number of metaphysical principles and use them in business to assist with global leadership. And I know the work. So I do R&D on everything. And so I started to get the nod from the divine heart to say, it's time to teach this now, Matthew, to others. And so I'm teaching people on the universal human around the world, mostly online. We've got our first retreat happening here in Sedona in a few days' time, which is exciting. And people are coming alive. They're discovering their own loving presence. And they're starting to be able to get access from their soul. They're starting to get soul information. They've been able to bilocate their consciousness. They're able to basically do remote viewing. They're learning the power of resistance. They're learning about transformation of archetypes. There's a whole wealth of things that people are learning, of the capabilities that we have. And everything I teach comes directly from, let's just say, source intelligence, or from my soul. And it's me giving my heart and sharing my heart with others, and it's changing people's lives. Seriously, practically, it's changing people's lives. They're getting new jobs where they're creating impact. Their lives are changing. They're finding loved ones. They're writing books. All sorts of different things are changing. And that is because the energy of the teaching comes from the divine heart. And that's what I'm saying, my divine heart. I don't want to be ego in this, but, it's a teaching that I know works. And so I'm starting to change people's lives, or rather the teaching is starting to change people's lives. And that is just incredibly humbling. Having the privilege to work at the soul level with an individual is the ultimate privilege of a person. It's the ultimate privilege to have the opportunity to work at the soul level. So what we do is we bring in source intelligence, and source intelligence does literally all the work. I get the teaching, we share the teaching, and then basically take people through various practices such as meditation and all sorts of different things. And it literally changes people. And so what we're starting to see is people in this transformation, not only they're coming alive and their material and metaphysical lives are thriving, but they're developing higher virtues. Like, for example, Aristotle wrote about higher virtues such as compassion, such as friendliness, wittiness, peace, justice. They're starting to evolve as human beings through this teaching. And this goes back to David Hawkins' Table of Enlightenment, where it's not where we got power and force, right? And most people are probably aware of David's Table of Enlightenment. It's a remarkable bit of research, and it's true, is that people are starting to develop a new stability at higher levels in the Table of Enlightenment in their consciousness. Now, what we do is we don't rush people into this. One of the problems is that people try and rush too much into awakening, and that can just overwhelm the body. We have to go at a gentle pace, and that's what we do. So when people move up from a level, say for example, into the level of love, then that's fine, and it's okay to stabilize there, and they'll drop down in the human experience into other things like fear or other things like that, but it's only temporary. It doesn't hold them anymore because they're free in a higher stability. And that's where human evolution's going. And then above love, then we move into things like the ultimate, which is ineffability. And I take people into pure conscious and pure source awareness of ineffability, but I don't keep them there for too long, because we have to get the system ready to naturally evolve to be able to handle pure consciousness. Because when we can, everything changes. We'll be able to create worlds, we'll be able to create life. It's going to be fantastic for us. We'll join the other life in the other life forms in the universe. We'll truly become a universal human and take our place as benevolent creators. And that's exciting. And this cannot be stopped. And I find it brilliant, because it's not about Matthew or about Zenka or about anybody else. It's about the divine heart saying, come, let's expand together. Let's grow together. Let's become one together, if you will. Then if 60% of the people discovered their purpose in awakening, then the world would not be the same. We would see the nature of reality very differently. We would understand that we are one in consciousness. We'd become a soul level civilization. And what we would do is to say, okay, that soul, That's their blueprint, and they're inventing these type of technologies. This is another soul, and they're inventing new types of regenerative farming for high nourishing food. No matter what it may be, this person may be an artisan or a writer or a play or whatever, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. What we realize is that as the soul comes in from the source, and as the souls express their highest potential, which is what you're saying, then effectively the whole of human consciousness would shift significantly. Because what we're doing is we're expressing the divine soul in the nature of reality. Now, that's huge for our planet. It's huge for everybody else. It's huge for the universe itself. Because we are connected with everything in the universe. So what our world would look like is what I call World 3.0, which is basically a new form of reality in which the universal human is in a new metaphysical existence. The biological form has been designed specifically for us to move into a new metaphysical existence. And so we would become metaphysical beings in this next plane of consciousness. And we would be inventing all sorts of great technologies. We'll be inventing spaceships or portals to venture out and say, let's go and visit this planet and go and have a cup of tea or Sunday lunch. And we go and create the portal, we go and have Sunday lunch or whatever. My point is this: we become unlimited. Our planet will become unlimited. And what would be beautiful is if every single person woke up each morning knowing the loving caress of the divine. We would recognize that whilst the earth is traveling at vast speeds through the universe, spinning in all sorts of different directions around the sun, around the Milky Way, around the actual galaxy itself, in a galaxy that's moving through the universe, we would be safe because we're in the divine heart. And the divine heart is eternal and infinite. So my point is this: fear would dissipate. There will be no fear in the human civilization anymore, because we are one in consciousness and awake, and recognize that this planet is an interim place for us to learn two things. One is benevolence, and secondly, to love each other. Love is here with you, and love is inviting you into a greater knowing of who you are. And it's okay to say yes to love and yes to you, and have some fun doing it.